Panel, former senior advisor to Secretary of War Pete Hegseth and former Pentagon official as well, Justin Fulcher. Also with us today, former U.S. deputy military rep to NATO and retired Brigadier General Blaine Holt, and also part of our panel this morning, Senate Chairman for the National Iranian Congress, as well as the author of Comrade Ayatollah, Amir Fakhravar. Gentlemen, good morning. Thanks for being here.
Morning.
Good to see you. So the vice president, we believe, will be leaving Washington. It's interesting. He's not on the plane quite yet, so we're watching that closely, but he'll be leading the negotiating team. There's some indication from the ground in Iran that they'll be headed. They'll be sending leaders to show up to these peace talks as well. But intelligence out of Iran overnight is suggesting that the head of Iran's Revolutionary Guard Corps is now this de facto leader in Iran. He's the one responsible for closing the Strait of Hormuz just hours after Iran's political leaders had opened it a couple days ago. His name is Ahmed Vahidi. Justin, if he's now in charge, how does a hardliner at the negotiating table change things up?
Well, I think on the one hand, having a hardliner at the table makes things more complicated for peace. That being said, a hardliner like him understands strength, and he's witnessed firsthand the American military might. And I think President Trump's comments have been very clear. If we don't reach a deal, continued kinetic action will follow.
Amir, there has been a lot of reporting that there's been something of a struggle between Vahidi and Mohammad Ghalibaf. You heard Mike reporting on him. He was the one at the negotiating table 2 weeks ago. So how do you know who you're dealing with and who's really in charge?
Thank you for having me, Shannon. And the guy you have been showing, it's not Ahmed Vahidi, it's another IRGC animals. But Vahidi is one of the craziest one, and I'm sure it's a civil war. I love President Trump. You know, the way with this negotiation game, he could create the civil war between the regime officials, let's say the reminders of regime officials. It's amazing to watch for us, for somebody like me who have been in this fight against the regime for the last 35 years of my life. I haven't seen such a thing. And, you know, it's just President Trump who could negotiate with them, because these people, they are not there. They cannot understand. Their mindset is not the mindset of normal human beings. They are terrorists, and they can understand just the force. And President Trump knows how to put force on them. And as I mentioned for last couple of weeks, China is the main player here. And we can see the cargo ship was China's cargo ship, which U.S. attacked. And that cargo ship was bringing the missiles, fuels to Iran.
Yeah, General, let me jump down to that question, Q4 for our control room, if you will. We have a headline this morning. There are some questions. We don't know for sure, but there are some questions about that Iranian flagged ship that we commandeered. Our U.S. Marines are now in control of. The Journal is reporting that it was transporting items with potential military use. It was coming from a Chinese port, maybe raw ingredients for military weaponry. We don't know exactly quite yet. That's not clear. But what does this do to that cooperative diplomacy we heard just a couple of days ago out of Xi Jinping and the president? They're set to sit down in a few weeks. What do you think?
Well, cooperative diplomacy is kind of an oxymoron sometimes, especially when it comes to China and the United States. So a very professional operation fueled by intelligence, stayed with them, showed great range, 6 hours. How about 3 68-pound shells to your engine room, and now we'll go ahead and commandeer the vessel. And so we know what was on the vessel, but that puts so much leverage into President Trump's hands as he goes into China to kind of lay down, this is the way the new deal is going to be, especially with Iran. You're going to be buying oil. You're just going to be doing it at retail, and you're going to stop funding a regime that we've essentially destroyed. They're turning on each other, and that's why whoever shows up in Islamabad, best they're going to do is get a Delcy Rodriguez Venezuela deal and stand back while we take out what remains of the IRGC. And I do believe, no matter how this goes, we are going to be hitting the IRGC and their leaders with weaponry whether somebody plays ball with us in Iran or not.
I am curious if this is the last chance, whether the deal gets pushed back. Justin, to you on this. This is video sent out by CENTCOM or shared by CENTCOM on X this morning. This is the USS Abraham Lincoln receiving supplies during this vertical replenishment. They're in the Arabian Sea. So no coincidence. They're pushing out these images saying, we're locked and loaded. That's the message from the Pentagon this morning. Is that right?
That's absolutely right. I mean, the resolve of our sailors and broader warfighting community is just absolutely incredible. Of course, many of these folks have been deployed at sea for months, but they're rogering up and ready for the fight. And so we're grateful for their service. That being said, the Pentagon is ready for any and all contingencies. And should this peace negotiation and talks break down, then, of course, the Department of War is standing ready for what happens next.
The ceasefire is supposed to expire, the president clarified, Wednesday night. He did tell PBS by phone yesterday that bombs would once again start dropping, to your point, General. Here's what he recently told reporters about a possible ceasefire extension. Listen to this.
If you don't have a deal by Wednesday when the ceasefire ends, will you extend the ceasefire or will you start attacks again?
Maybe I won't extend it.
Okay.
But the blockade is going to remain. But maybe I won't extend it. So you have a blockade, and unfortunately we'll have to start dropping bombs again.
Amir, it seems Iran uses these peace talks really just to kick the can down the road. That's their playbook.
And that's the only playbook. And also it's China. Right now, China is doing the negotiation on behalf of Iran because the negotiation in Islamabad, Pakistan, have been designed by China too. As I said, Pakistan is the original country who sent the nuclear knowledge to this regime. It was the Abdul Ghadir Khan, the father of nuclear bomb in Pakistan, who helped them. And then Pakistan is just acting on behalf of China in that negotiation. And China directly is talking with Saudi Arabia, with UAE, and with everybody else to tell them, no, we cannot lose Iran because China has the entire control of Iran. As I mentioned several times, right now, the headquarters of IRGC is operating from inside China's embassy in Tehran. I have the evidence about that. My team inside Iran, we have the evidence that the IRGC, because they knew they will get bombed by the United States and Israel everywhere, not in Chinese embassy or Russian embassy. Right now, they are operating from China's embassy. Please, President, I want to ask President Trump, we love him. Please don't go to China right now. It's not safe because those animals, the communists, the animals in China, they don't like you, President Trump. Your life is in danger.
We'd love to see that evidence. Newsmax, just to be clear, has not independently verified those facts, but or those claims, but certainly would love to see the documentation you have on that, sir. We appreciate all of you, General. Before I let you go, Cuban leaders apparently hosted U.S. officials in Havana. I just have a couple of seconds left. Where do you see that headed? They're asking that the energy embargo be lifted. General, to you very quickly.
Oh, that's easy, and I'll make it very quick. They want a Venezuela deal now. They've had enough. They're going to be given terms, and they're going to be told what to do. They'll get to stay in charge, but they're going to do just exactly what we say, and Cuba will once again come back to the world.
General Blaine Holt. Thank you, sir. General Blaine Holt, Justin Fulcher, Amir Fakhravar. Gentlemen, thanks so much. Great conversation this morning.